You know, usually when we talk about getting into shape, there is this heavy expectation of, well, suffering.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like mathematics mixed with a medieval torture chamber,
Exactly. You open your phone and someone is pointing at this complex spreadsheet of periodized microcycles.
telling you to grind to absolute physical failure.
Right. And you're hooked up to like 5 different wearable monitors.
Yeah, it's entirely performative exhaustion.
Yeah.
I mean, we've built up this culture over the last 2 decades where complexity is directly equated with effectiveness.
If you aren't tracking 16 different metrics and, literally crawling out of the gym, the assumption is that you simply aren't trying hard enough.
You're either broken or you failed.
Yeah.
But then you step into the actual clinical data, the literal sports science laboratories of 2026.
And suddenly that complex spreadsheet starts to look a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we are looking at a fitness landscape right now that is completely resetting our baseline assumptions. We have a stack of freshly compiled 2026 fitness and sports science research briefings right here. We're pulling from the American College of Sports Medicine's first major update in almost 2 decades.
Plus massive mortality surveys spanning hundreds of thousands of people.
And the latest Cochrane database mental health reviews. So our mission today is to extract the absolute most important nuggets for you, the listener, to help you get the highest return on your time investment.
With the least amount of unnecessary stress.
Exactly. So whether you want to optimize your current routine or, you're just exhausted by information overload, this deep dive is completely tailored for your curiosity. Okay, let's unpack this.
We'll start with the foundation, which is strength training. The fitness industry has operated on this arms race of complexity for years.
Oh, yeah.
But the American College of Sports Medicine, the ACSM, they just dropped their 2026 position stand. And this is their first major update to strength training guidelines in 17 years.
17 years. I mean, that is an eternity in sports science. Just think about the sheer number of fitness fads we've had since 2009.
Unstable surfaces, the hyper-specific routines.
There's shake weights.
Right. And the data pool they use for this update is staggering. They synthesized 137 systematic reviews.
Wow.
Yeah, representing over 30,000 participants. And the core revelation cuts through all of that noise. It turns out the fancy stuff really just does not matter for everyday people.
Okay, I need a clear definition of fancy stuff here, because I feel like the fitness industry only sells fancy stuff.
I am talking about the obsession with training to total muscular failure.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about agonizing over complex machine angles versus free weights, or, meticulously mapping out those periodization schedules where you shift your rep ranges every 3 days to quote-unquote confuse the muscle.
Ah, muscle confusion.
Right. Well, the ACSM found that for the average healthy adult, none of that makes a consistent, statistically significant difference in muscle function or hypertrophy or physical performance.
Wait, so grinding until you physically drop the weight doesn't build more muscle?
It doesn't.
That feels so counterintuitive, though. I mean, if I push the muscle to its absolute limit, shouldn't it be forced to grow larger than if I, say, stopped a few reps short?
You would think so, but the mechanism of muscle growth, which is hypertrophy, it doesn't require total destruction. It actually functions a lot more like a biological switch.
Oh, switch.
Yeah. When you lift a weight, you create mechanical tension on the muscle fibers. This tension causes microscopic microtears, and that signals satellite cells to rush in and repair the tissue.
Which makes it thicker.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Once you provide enough mechanical tension to flip that signaling switch, the muscle is triggered to grow. You don't get, extra growth by continuing to pull the switch until it breaks off in your hand.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And the magic number the ACSM found is remarkably simple. Aim for around 10 or more sets per muscle group per week. Just showing up and providing that moderate tension consistently is what actually moves the needle.
Okay, so if I'm understanding the biological mechanism correctly, it's a lot like studying for a major exam.
How so?
Well, you can't just cram all night. If I read the exact same textbook chapter 10 times in a row without sleeping, my brain doesn't learn it 10 times better.
Right.
The first couple of readings stimulate the learning process, and the rest is just, exhausting my brain for absolutely no additional cognitive benefit.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it. The initial stimulus dictates the adaptation.
But I'm going to push back on this slightly, because human intuition tells us that if I do 10 sets and grow my muscle, well, doing 20 sets should logically grow it twice as fast.
Natural.
And if we look at professional bodybuilders or Olympic weightlifters, they're training for 4 to 6 hours a day. Are they just biologically completely different, or like, are we measuring the wrong thing here?
Elite athletes are operating on a completely different paradigm.
Yeah.
We're talking chemical and genetic recovery that is totally irrelevant for the general population.
Ah.
For the everyday person, the physiology of recovery fiercely disagrees with that more is better mindset. Let me bring in the largest training volume study ever run. This was just reported in Club Solutions magazine in April 2026.
Okay, what do they do?
They took over 100 trained participants, so no beginner gains skewing the data. And they split them into high volume versus low volume strength training across a 12-week period.
So these are people who already know how to lift, putting the 10-set theory to the test against the 20-set theory.
Exactly. And they found that piling on extra sets, what the research is now explicitly calling junk sets, it doesn't automatically build more muscle.
Junk sets, I love that term.
Right. When you push past that optimal moderate volume, you aren't stimulating more muscle protein synthesis. You are just accumulating systemic fatigue. You are actively taxing your central nervous system.
Hold on, central nervous system. I thought we were just talking about, tired biceps and sore legs. How does lifting a dumbbell exhaust my brain and spinal cord?
This is a crucial distinction. Local fatigue is when your bicep feels tired. Systemic, or central nervous system fatigue, involves the actual electrical signals your brain sends down your spinal cord to tell those muscle fibers to contract.
Oh, wow. I never thought about the electrical signal.
Yeah. When you do endless junk sets, the neurotransmitters in your brain that drive motor unit recruitment get depleted. The electrical signal itself gets weaker.
That sounds bad.
It is. Your body now has to spend massive amounts of baseline energy repairing that fried neural circuitry and the excessive tissue damage, rather than using that energy to actually build new tissue.
So you're just stealing from your own gains.
Exactly. Smart, moderate volume done well beats endless solo marathon sessions every single time, because it protects the nervous system.
What's fascinating here is the psychological relief that comes with understanding that biology, knowing that an efficient 45 to 60-minute session is literally all the science requires.
It takes the pressure off.
Completely. You do your 10 sets per muscle group for the week, you flip the biological switch, and you are done.
What's fascinating here is how this concept of the minimum effective dose completely reframes our relationship with exercise. We have been socially conditioned to believe that exercise must be a punishment to be effective.
Right. No pain, no gain.
But your cellular biology responds best to moderate, consistent stress, followed by adequate recovery.
Which brings up a really vital question. If lifting heavy weights to failure unnecessarily drains the central nervous system battery, how do we actually build a bigger battery?
Cardio.
Yes, because cardio has its own toxic culture of go hard or go home. It usually involves sprinting until you feel sick.
Right. But the dominant trend emerging from the 2026 Cardio Fitness Science Roundups, and we're pulling from Science Daily in late 2025 and the latest fitness AI trends analysis here, is actively moving away from that maximum intensity mindset.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, they're focusing entirely on Zone 2.
Zone 2. The low-effort cardio that is absolutely taking over the world right now. For anyone not deeply entrenched in heart rate metrics, Zone 2 sits at roughly 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate.
It is the classic talk test zone.
Yes. You are moving, you are sweating a bit, but you could still comfortably hold a conversation with someone jogging next to you.
You are not gasping for air.
Yeah.
And the reason this steady, easy-paced cardio is having such a massive moment is because of how it transforms your cellular machinery at a microscopic level.
How so?
Training in Zone 2 increases mitochondrial density. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells, and by increasing their number and efficiency, you dramatically improve your metabolic flexibility.
Okay, let's break down metabolic flexibility because that sounds like a buzzword, but the mechanics of it are brilliant. It is basically turning your body into a highly efficient hybrid car, right?
That is an excellent way to visualize it.
So if you're driving a hybrid car at a steady 65 miles per hour, that's your zone. The car is running on the electric battery, which represents your body burning stored body fat for fuel.
Exactly. Fat is an abundant, slow-burning energy source.
But if you suddenly floor the gas pedal to pass someone, that's your high-intensity sprint, the car is forced to switch over to the gas engine, which represents your body burning carbohydrates.
And you only have so much gas in the tank.
Right. So Zone 2 builds a bigger, more efficient battery so you can cruise on fat for much longer without tapping into your limited carb reserves.
Spot on. And you achieve all of those profound cellular improvements in heart health and fat oxidation without the severe wear and tear of going flat out in high-intensity interval training.
No sprinting until you throw up.
Exactly. The research confirms that the absolute biggest health payoff, the most dramatic drop in all-cause mortality risk, comes simply from going from unfit to moderately fit.
It's just about getting off the couch.
It is about building the mitochondria, not necessarily running a sub-3-hour marathon. Oh, you program this into hybrid training, so pairing moderate zone 2 cardio with the 10 sets a week strength training we just outlined, you genuinely build both the muscular and cardiovascular systems without frying your nervous system.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though, because this incredible biological return on investment we get from moderate exercise does not apply equally to everyone.
No, it doesn't.
The data shows a massive, fascinating divide between men and women.
This is arguably the most compelling piece of data in our stack today. We are looking at a landmark 2024 study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology,
Which has been heavily highlighted in National Geographic's 2026 Women's Health coverage.
Right. And this was not a small sample size. This was survey data tracking over 400,000 adults.
400,000 is undeniably robust. But the sheer disparity in the results is what caught my eye.
The researchers found that women get significantly more mileage from every single minute of exercise than men do.
Wow.
Yeah. When looking at regular physical activity, women saw a 24% lower mortality risk. For men doing the exact same relative amount of regular activity, the mortality risk only dropped by 15%.
24% versus 15%, that's huge. But it's not just the percentage of risk reduction, it is the physical time required to get there that is so wildly different.
Exactly. To hit the peak life-extending benefits of exercise, women only needed about 140 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity per week.
Okay. And the men?
Meanwhile, men needed roughly 300 minutes a week.
More than double the time.
More than double the time to reach their peak longevity benefit.
So biologically, women have this incredible fast track to longevity. But why? What is happening on a physiological level that makes a woman's body extract so much more value out of 140 minutes of exercise compared to a man's body?
It basically comes down to a mix of endocrinology and muscle fiber composition. First, estrogen is highly protective. It plays a massive role in muscle recovery and mitochondrial function.
Really? Estrogen?
Yes, estrogen actually enhances glucose uptake and reduces the breakdown of muscle tissue during exercise.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And second, women naturally possess a higher proportion of type I muscle fibers.
Those are the slow-twitch endurance fibers, correct?
Yeah, yes, they are. Because women have more of these highly oxygenated type I fibers, their bodies are naturally more resilient to fatigue and exceptionally responsive to cardiovascular stress.
So they just adapt faster.
Exactly. When a woman engages in moderate exercise, her cellular machinery adapts at an accelerated rate compared to a man who typically relies more on fast twitch, type 2 fibers that take longer to recover.
That makes total sense.
This raises an important question about how fitness is marketed, though. Society places immense pressure on women, pushing these expectations that they need to live in the gym to see results or be considered healthy.
Oh, 100%. The Fitspo culture online is relentless.
But the physiological reality tells a completely different story. A little movement goes a remarkably long way for women because their biological efficiency is structurally superior in this context.
It is so empowering to look at the actual biology. You don't have to live in the gym. 2 or 3 sessions a week genuinely delivers the maximum life-extending payload.
It really does.
But we've established how efficiently the physical body responds to moderate stress for both men and women. We know 10 sets is enough to flip the switch. We know zone 2 builds the cellular battery.
Right.
But the physical benefits are really only half the story here, because the systemic efficiency we are seeing applies just as powerfully to the brain.
It does. Let's look at the January 2026 Cochrane database of systematic reviews out of the University of Lancashire.
Okay.
The Cochrane database is essentially the gold standard for evidence-based medicine. They analyzed 73 randomized controlled trials involving nearly 5,000 adults suffering from depression.
That is a heavy clinical population. We are not talking about feeling a little down on a rainy Tuesday. We are talking about diagnosed clinical depression.
Exactly. And the major review confirmed that regular movement eased depression about as well as cognitive behavioral therapy.
Wow.
And it showed similar benefits to pharmaceutical antidepressants.
Movement, literally acting as a biochemical intervention, is wild. But how does that actually work inside the skull? Because running on a treadmill doesn't magically solve the problems in your life that might be making you depressed.
No, it doesn't solve external problems. but it fundamentally alters the biological hardware you use to process those problems.
Okay, tell me more.
The mechanism comes down to neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to form new neural connections. When you exercise, your muscles release proteins called myokines into your bloodstream.
Myokines.
Right. These myokines cross the blood-brain barrier and trigger the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
Oh, I've heard BDNF described as like miracle grow for the brain.
Absolutely is. BDNF stimulates the growth of new neurons in the hippocampus, which is the area of the brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation.
And isn't that notably the area that physically shrinks in people with severe depression?
Yes, it is. Additionally, exercise acts as a systemic anti-inflammatory. Chronic inflammation is highly linked to depressive symptoms, and the myokines released during movement actively suppress that inflammation.
That's incredible. So what was the ideal dose to get this miracle grow effect, did they say?
They did. The winning combination they found, the specific evidence-based prescription for the mind, was light to moderate activity done regularly.
Light to moderate. Again, no grinding.
Right. And crucially, mixing cardio with strength training worked significantly better than doing cardio alone.
Wow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the exact same hybrid training model that optimally builds the physical body, moderate strength training paired with zone 2 cardio, is literally the optimal format for treating the brain.
So you're hitting everything at once.
You are building metabolic flexibility in your cells and biological resilience in your neural pathways simultaneously.
It makes complete sense. You are flooding the brain with BDNF while lowering the inflammation that causes the depressive fog. But I have to ask, if physical exertion is the stimulus that heals the brain, what it actually heals the body from the physical exertion?
The million-dollar question.
Right, because we established earlier that the workout itself just causes fatigue, micro tears, and flips the biological switch.
Oh.
The gym is where you break the muscle down. So when does the actual growth happen?
The growth requires the ultimate passive activity, sleep.
Sleep.
We have a 2026 review from the MDPI Journal of Clinical Medicine paired with a summary from the Sleep Research Society that puts an end to the debate. Recovery science is now definitive.
Okay, what's the verdict?
Sleep is not just turning the machine off to save power. It is a highly active state of biological construction.
Walk me through the mechanics of that construction. What is happening in hour 2 of sleep that isn't happening when I'm, say, just sitting on the couch watching television?
Well, most of your muscular repair happens during the deepest stages of non-REM sleep.
Oh.
During this time, your blood pressure drops, your breathing slows, and your brain commands the pituitary gland to release a massive pulse of human growth hormone.
Human growth hormone.
Yes. Growth hormone is the primary biochemical driver of muscle repair, fat metabolism, and tissue synthesis. And the timing is critical. This massive release peaks in the first 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep.
Wow. So the fitness industry has always obsessed over this mythical anabolic window, right?
Oh, yes.
The idea that you have to chug a protein shake within 15 minutes of leaving the gym or you lose all your gains. But the real anabolic window is the first 3 hours after your head hits the pillow.
That's exactly right. If you were skimping on sleep, you are literally cutting off your body's primary physical upgrade mechanism.
That's brutal.
And the researchers proved this by looking at athletic performance. They had athletes purposefully extend their sleep to 10 hours a night for 5 to 7 weeks.
10 hours a night sounds like a luxury vacation. What was the physical result of just banking more sleep?
By doing absolutely nothing else but extending their sleep duration, these athletes showed measurable, statistically significant gains in physical sprint speed.
Just from sleeping?
Just from sleeping. Their reaction time sharpened, and their physical shooting accuracy improved. They got faster, stronger, and more accurate just by allowing the growth hormone more time to rebuild the tissue.
I love the irony of this. You have people who will spend hours analyzing their complex workout spreadsheets, tracking every single macronutrient, agonizing over whether they should do 12 reps or 14 reps on a highly specific angle machine.
All of it.
But then they completely ignore the 8 to 10 hours where the actual physical upgrades are installed. It's like spending a fortune designing custom software for your computer, but never actually letting the computer reboot to install it.
That's a great way to put it. You are leaving your results entirely on the table. We focus so much on the mechanical stress we apply to the body, but the adaptation, the actual physical and mental gain, only occurs in the profound absence of that stress.
Okay. We have covered some serious ground today, digging into the actual mechanisms of how our bodies adapt. So what does this all mean?
It's a lot to take in.
It is. If we are synthesizing all of this into a 2026 reality check for you, the listener, you can officially let go of the noise. The data is staring us in the face.
Consistency absolutely beats complexity.
The fancy stuff doesn't matter. 10 sets a week provides enough mechanical tension to build muscle without frying your nervous system.
Moderate conversational zone 2 cardio is the king of building your cellular battery and extending longevity.
Women have a literal biological fast track thanks to estrogen and muscle fiber types, reaching peak longevity benefits in less than half the time of men.
And hybrid training is an evidence-based biological intervention for your brain, flooding it with BDNF.
And finally, you need to prioritize deep sleep if you actually want the growth hormone to rebuild you into a faster, stronger human.
It is a massive paradigm shift from more is better to smarter is better. We finally understand the biological mechanisms behind the minimum effective dose.
It's incredibly freeing to know that you don't have to suffer to see results. Which leaves me with a philosophical thought for you to ponder as you go about your day.
I like the sound of that.
We started this deep dive talking about that expectation of suffering, right? The spreadsheets, the grinding to total failure, the idea that success requires performative exhaustion.
Yeah.
But if the cutting-edge science of human performance tells us that we achieve our greatest physical and mental gains not by grinding until we break, but through consistent, moderate effort and intense, unapologetic rest.
Right.
What other areas of your life are you treating like a high-intensity workout? Is it your career, your relationships, your personal goals?
That's a great question.
Where are you unnecessarily grinding to failure when you really just need a steady, sustainable Zone 2 approach? Something to think about. Until next time.